Alright fuckers, welcome back to the Football Manager 2017 Old Firm Revival. This is episode 35, it's the end of season 4, and unfortunately I actually advanced too far into the end of season, so we're not going to be able to fully check all the stats and shit like that, and all that good stuff, but we'll cover all the basics, and we'll see who won what. So you can see there is the final league table. Once again, Celtic won the league by 84 points. Not as impressive as they have been in recent years, but still, they've won the league, and they won it by about a good 16 points over Rangers. Rangers ended up coming second, but for a large part of the season they were like around about 4th, 5th, but they did win 7 of their last 9 games, which definitely helped them in the end. That was the difference between them finishing like just in the about 5th or 6th, and that's between the difference between 5th and 6th or Champions League football. So good run of form towards the end helped them get second, and there you can see between 3rd and 6th only 1 point separating those teams, so 1 point separating 4 teams, and unfortunately it means Dundee United, who finished 6th, they miss out on Europa League football. So you've got Celtic going straight into the Champions League, Rangers finishing 2nd, they'll be in the Champions League qualifiers. Hearts are going straight into the Europa League. I think they're going straight into the Europa League with Partick Thistle and Aberdeen going into the qualifiers. I think that's how it works. Not quite sure. And then you see Queen of the South getting relegated on their first season. And I've seen teams have worse seasons. They've done alright, 23 points. They were poor, but I've seen a lot worse from promoted teams. But unfortunately, they didn't do enough to stay up. You can see the Betfred Cup was won by St Johnstone. They beat Hibernian at Hampden Park. Both Premier League teams making it to the final. Rangers and Celtic, you can see, didn't make it. And believe Celtic, so Rangers there got knocked out in the semi-final by St Johnstone 2-0. Hibernian ended up beating Morton on penalties to go through. And I think Celtic got knocked out in there. Not the quarters. Where did Celtic get to then? Celtic got knocked out in the second round by Dundee, so it's a disappointing result for them. So neither Celtic or Rangers won the Betfred Cup, so in that aspect it was very disappointing for Celtic. At least Rangers got to the semi-finals, man. Celtic eliminated there in the second round. Definitely would have expected better than that. Scottish Cup was won by Celtic at Hampden, obviously, and they beat Aberdeen 1-0 in extra time. Aberdeen done well. I think they got to the final last year as well. No, it wasn't, but Aberdeen, they've been good, man. So a good cup thing there, and they also done well in Europe, as we will see. And I think that's why they've been finishing. I think the last 2 seasons, that's why they've finished slightly lower in the league, because obviously the further you get in the cups and the further you get in Europe, the games pile up, and the Scottish League teams don't really have massive squads. So if you're playing in 2 or 3 competitions, it's definitely a lot harder to cope than it is for the other teams that are perhaps only playing in 1. So there you go, Scottish Cup final, Celtic defeating Aberdeen in extra time. It was a poor, disappointing campaign in the Champions League for Celtic this time, and you see they got knocked out in the wait, fuck me, I've already showed you this in the last episode. So don't know why I've actually got this up. What we will be going to is the Aberdeen were the last remaining team in Europe last season, so we'll go and check how they did. They made it through the group stage. They got into the first knockout round. They got a draw against. They didn't draw against them. They were drawn against Olympique Marseille, and they lost 5-1 on aggregate. So Aberdeen did well to get out their group, but sadly, they lost 5-1. So it is what it is. Disappointing defeat for them, but just to get out the groups and to get that far, they did well. So Aberdeen have been flying the flag pretty impressively. Good for them. Now, this season, in the Premier League, this will be Celtic going for 10 in a row. This last season, by winning it, they matched 9 in a row. Obviously, they've done it first, then Rangers done it, and then Celtic have done it again. So, if Celtic can win the league again, they will break records. They'll do 10 in a row. But to win the league again this season, it's going to be pretty difficult, because there's been some major changes, man. Especially with the squads. There was quite a few unhappy Celtic players who weren't getting the game time they wanted. There was a few players who thought they'd outgrown the club, and I'll be honest, there's been a bit of a disaster at Celtic, and I'll show you just what I mean by that. Basically, all our best strikers have left. So there you go. Look at that. First of all, Lee Griffiths wasn't getting game time. He wasn't starting. He was getting odd substitute appearance. He was unhappy, and he wanted to leave. So couldn't really keep him. He was going to leave on a free contract. I thought, well, you know what? We've got Moussa Dembele, so we sold him to Young Boys for 3.2 million. Probably could have got more, but he was unhappy. He kind of forced a move. So I was like, right. And then, young promising Jack Aitchison, star for the future. Everton came in for him, and I rejected the bid. Then he complained. He said he wanted to go and play in a better league, which I think is surprising is because he wasn't even playing for us. So, I mean, it's not as if he'd played for us for a year or a couple of years and then he'd outgrown the league. He wasn't even given a chance. But the board said that he wasn't happy, so they went and actually forced the move on my behalf. So I never had to say. Jack Aitchison went to Everton for 6.5 million. I wasn't too bothered about that. I thought 6.5 million for him was pretty decent. So I wasn't going to complain, but what happened next is Moussa Dembele, he was wanting to leave for a while. I thought I'd convinced him to stay. I really did. I turned down several offers. He wasn't happy. I thought we'd put things behind us, and then he got the rest of the squad were unhappy with my treatment, and I'm thinking, wait, what are you talking about? Like, why would the squad be unhappy that I'm trying to keep the best player we have, or one of the best players we have? You know what I mean? Stupid logic. I mean, they should be happy that I was trying to keep Moussa Dembele at the club, but they weren't, so the squad kind of ganged up on me. And believe it or not, the club went and sold Moussa Dembele right from underneath me again, with 10 million, potentially rising up to 14.75. So, I mean, we've lost Lee Griffiths and Moussa Dembele, we lost our future star, Jack Aitchison, so we've had a terrible time in terms of strikers, and we sold Daniel Church and Brian Gaston. So you see 20 million out, and we've only brought in 2.6 million in. And for the players that we brought in, Johnny Hayes, free transfer from Aberdeen, so his contract ran out, and we managed to get him. Brought in Danny Ings, 650k from Liverpool, good signing. Got Ansley Mattel Niels, we got him for free. His contract run out with Arsenal. And he used to play for Rangers like 2 seasons ago in this series, so it's a great signing. I think he's valued at like 6 million or something, so I'm sure Rangers fans will be hating him, but it's definitely a good signing for us. Then we've got Jack Grealish on a free as well, which I thought was another great piece of business. He's only 24, promising kid for the future. And we've got Sebastian Rode, who was down to his final year, I think, in Dortmund. He wasn't getting any action. The transfer list time, and we got him for 1.9 million, so don't know what you make of the signings, and to be honest, I think they're great, but it's the fact that we've lost Dembele and Griffiths and even Aitchison. That's really disappointing. So, I mean, if Rangers are going to catch us, this is probably the best chance they have, because we've lost, undoubtedly, our 2 best strikers. But I suppose it will be a chance for a new signing Danny Ings to come in and do well. We've got Negredo, who we signed last season in January. Maybe he'll get more opportunities, and also Jason Cummins, who we signed last year, who only played 3 games last season. Well, it'll be another chance for him to, come in, and he'll get an opportunity to shine. So hopefully these people can take it. But there you go, that is the Celtic transfers for this upcoming season. But Rangers, and I think I'm really proud of what we've done with Rangers since we've loaned out a bunch of people. We've sold Josh Windass to Partick Thistle for 220k, and here's the players we've brought in. We've got Neil McGinn on a free once again. He left Aberdeen, maybe they couldn't afford his wages or something, I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to resign him, it's possible, but we got him and I'm happy with him, so he'll be a good squad player. John Suter from Hearts, 2 million, very happy with that. Last season we got Jamie Walker off them, this season we got John Suter off them. They must be sick of us coming and taking their best players, but get used to it, because we're going to keep on doing it. We brought in 3 loanees, Isaac Fonte, Lewis Macy and Alex Bamford from Man United. Lewis Macy for Tottenham and Fonte from Southampton. All these players are really promising. Alright, they're not matched out at their full potential, but even at their current level, they're probably good enough to come in, and if not get into a starting 11, they'll definitely be good enough to, get on the bench, and they'll play a part this season, in our season, no doubt about it. They will play a major part. So 3 really good loan signings. And we brought in a couple of free transfers. We brought in Facundo Ferreira, a striker from Ukraine. He seems good. We got him for free. And then we got Sayanda X Sulu, and he is a South African centre back, I think. Yes, he is 20 years old. He's got 32 caps, man. Quality players. Valued at 2.8 million. And with Ferreira, Ukrainian, he's valued at 2.6 million. So, and he's got caps as well. So we've got two internationals really. So to bring them in for on a free, I think is great. So I don't know what you think, but I think the Rangers definitely coming out the better there, the Old Firm. So if they can stop 10 in a row, this is probably the best kind of transfer window they could hope for. They've brought in a bunch of good players. They haven't lost anybody of significance. And Celtic has been weakened, albeit, yes, Celtic have brought in some good players, but overall, I think Celtic would have rather kept the players that they lost than the players that they brought in, just my opinion. So, yeah, we'll check out the rest of them. And so, St Johnstone, he brought in Craig Slater and Matthew Knox on loan. I was tempted to keep him at Rangers, but I think one more season out on loan, and then when he comes back, I think that's when he'll be ready to play a big part in the Rangers squad. I just still think right now there's too many players in front of him. We brought in Ferreira, he's going to be ahead of him. We've got Faghorn is ahead of him. We've got Louis Moult is ahead of him. Then you've got like Quitongo and shit like that. So, but next season I think Matthew Knox will be the real deal for Rangers. Look at this, Aberdeen. Look at that. So it just shows you their last couple of years. Obviously, they've done well in Europe and stuff like that. And look at they've spent out in terms of money brought in. They've only got in 375k. But they've went and spent 3.9 million. That is crazy. 4 years ago when I started this series, teams in Scotland, it would have been the other way about. It would have actually been the other way about. Like, they would have brought in 3.9 million for transfers, and expenditure would have been about 375k. But because Scottish football went up the rankings, there's more teams in Europe now. Teams are getting further in Europe, which has up the coefficients. The quality of the Scottish Football League in the last 4 years has went up. And there's just more money in the game now, so teams like Aberdeen can afford to do this. And look at this, they brought in David Petrucci for Blackburn. He's going to be a really good player, I think. Italian 28-year-old midfielder. He should be really good. And then they brought in, look at this guy. Cost over £1 million for Genk, Norwegian, right mid. He'll be a good replacement for, he can play right mid or left mid, so he'll be a replacement for Niall McGinn and Johnny Hayes, whatever they want. And then there's other players, Cosmin Matti for Angers, 450k, potentially rising up to over 500. Again, he plays in the wing. So they got Luco Casparozzo there, Canadian from Hamilton. Just so Aberdeen doing really well in this transfer window, and who knows? We're talking about Rangers challenging Celtic for the title. Perhaps even Aberdeen can do it. You never know. Although if they are in Europe, it's going to be difficult for them. But they've definitely had a great transfer window. So that's what it is. We've already covered Celtic. Dundee just brought in a bunch of loanees, and they've sold a couple of their best players to Hearts. So Dundee not having the greatest transfer window there. So albeit, yes, there is some teams that are benefiting from Scottish football improving. There's also teams like Dundee that perhaps just don't really have any money because they're not getting into Europe and they're not finishing high up the league. Got Dundee United spent a wee bit. 250k. They've loaned out a few people, but nothing major there. Hamilton Academico sold Luco Gasparotto to Aberdeen, and they brought in a couple of players here. Again, nothing major. Heart of Midlothian. So in terms of money brought in, they've got the 2 million for John Suter. They also got Perry Kitchen on a free transfer they got rid of, so that's not exactly great, is it? I think they could have maybe got money for him. I don't know why they let his contract run out. I believe he signed for, who is he signed for? Bursaspor. We tried to get him for Rangers, but couldn't get a work permit for some reason. Don't know why. So anyway, and then see they brought in some players. Ewan Donald, Mark. There's 2 players for Dundee that we covered. Joe Shaughnessy from St Johnstone, and a bunch of free transfers. So maybe they'll do well. Hibernian brought in. I think that's one of the players actually that left Rangers on a free. Michael Devlin. Disappointed with that, but that's what it is. Brought in Joe Dingwall from Aberdeen on loan. Brought in Daniel Church for 185k, potentially rising to $250,000. And then Michael Torres. So Hibernian having an alright transfer window. And then Inverness again. Nothing major here. Motherwell spending a wee bit of money. Partick Thistle spending a bit of money, which I think they had to if they want to maintain. their team and keep trying to push for those European places. But Josh Windass from Rangers. Did I also mention that Nico Kranker retired? I did. I see Nico Kranker did retire. And also Dylan McGaw, whatever you want to call him, left on a free as well. And look at John Dodo as well. So there's a couple of players that we didn't cover. So I was disappointed to lose Devlin, Dodo, Magoo, and obviously Kranker on a free. But I think overall, I think we've had a good season. So in terms of that, I am happy. And just before we leave, we're just at the start of the season, but there has been there's been some movement in the Europe qualifiers, so I'll just go ahead and show you them. First of all, we'll start with Rangers. I think see Champions League qualifying round 3. We drew Anderlecht. We got a draw in the first game at Ibrox, and sadly we lost in the second game. So we got knocked out of that, and we will go into the Europa League playoffs, and we drew against Forskia. So if we beat them, we're into the Europa League group stage. We should beat them. You'd expect to beat them. Hopefully we will beat them. So I'd be disappointed if we didn't beat them. Fuck me, you know what I mean? They're shite. Aberdeen are in the Europa League playoff leg as well. They got that team from Portugal, Fit Guma Mares or something like that. So hopefully Aberdeen will beat them. They managed to beat KV Mechelen in the last round. So Aberdeen, once again, doing well. And I think they'll get into the group stage. But Celtic, last season, Celtic already in the Champions League group stage. Just a matter of who we'll get. Don't know yet, but obviously we will find out when everybody qualifies. You can see Celtic doing well in the friendlies. Lost to Senate in the first one, but since then just smashing every cunt really. So Dundee not in Europe. Dundee United not in Europe. Hamilton Academical not in Europe. Hearts of Midlothian, they go straight into the group stage. So again, we're guaranteed 2 teams. Celtic Champions League, Hearts Europa League. So we've got 2 teams guaranteed to be in Europe no matter what. And hopefully Aberdeen and Rangers will get there. Hibernian not in Europe. Inverness not in Europe. Motherwell not in Europe. Partick Thistle, they drew Sporting Lisbon, difficult tie, and unfortunately they got beat, was it 6-2 in aggregate, so tough, but you can't really blame them from losing to Sporting Lisbon. It is what it is, and yeah, so that's it guys, basically. And also PSG bought Pogba for 75 million, so in the past couple of years PSG have bought Dybala, they've bought Coutinho, they've bought Hazard, now they've bought Pogba, Jordi Alba. They've brought in so many fucking players. So PSG currently ranked the best team in the world at the moment. Not surprised. I would expect to see them go on and win the Champions League this season, but we'll see. Definitely don't want to get drawn against them in the group though. But that's going to do it guys for this episode. So thanks for watching, man, and we're getting quite far through this. I'm happy with how it's going, and we'll just have a quick look here at the coefficient just before we leave, man. So we'll see where the fuck we are. Let's see, coefficient, where are we? Nation, right, here we go. We're currently 8th. Now, can we jump up to, we'll lose, well, look at that. If we jump up to, what, is it 7th? We get, no, is it 6th? What is it we need to get? I'm trying to figure out what we need to get 3 places in the Champions League. Let me see. Right, we need to get 6th, right, to get 3 teams in the Champions League, which would be fucking amazing. So it's 6, we need to be 6th, right? And we're currently about, what, 7? Say we're 7 off Russia. But Russia's defending 11.5. We're only defending 3, so by my calculations, if we can match what Russia do this season in Europe, and if we can match what Portugal do, or even just get beat by Portugal, but not by that much, then we will have 3 teams. We'll move up to 6th, which will be great, man. It'll be fucking amazing. So that has to be the goal. We've still, Partick Thistle route, we've still got the Old Firm though, Aberdeen and Hearts, the 4 best teams, the 4 best and 4 biggest teams in Scotland going for glory. So hopefully they'll get the job done, guys. Check out next episode to see what happens. But until then, been Scotland 90. Peace.